your management skills have to shift towards how you can manage people in a virtual environment. This is a significant shift in how you kind of make sure people are getting their jobs done. And it also means that skills like agile ways of working and communication have shifted dramatically and really forced companies to look at things in a very different light. So technology has become a fundamental way that we communicate with our co-workers, thereby creating this need for different skill sets, which aren't really taught at schools or universities nowadays. It's a brand new thing that's really emerged and is creating new fields.
Digitization opened new offerings in financial services and healthcare.
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of that question.
I'm talking about digitization, enhancing access to, career development as well as financial services, including healthcare.
Yeah, so I think what you're seeing then, I'm sorry, the line's a little bit bad, is that the types of careers and services that you're seeing have changed a lot. So I'll give you an example. For me, digitization, a lot of it isn't about something brand new happening that has never happened before. It's a lot of it, especially what we've seen over the last few years, is the adoption of existing technologies, such as telemedicine, for example, which has been around for a long time, but people were very hesitant to use it. People would still want to go into their doctor's offices. What we've seen with COVID and people being forced to kind of be at home and therefore relying more on digitized services is that these options have become more of a norm, and that has accelerated their usage. And with that acceleration, it creates a whole lot of new opportunities that can now exist.
There's what we have been talking about, the fear of the fourth industrial revolution, moving from automation and migrating into digitization. And many people were feeling that jobs will be taken away. But we have not talked about how to address this fear and the hope for entering the fifth industrial revolution, which I understand will be people-centric. So then how do we allay the fears of the people into, and shall I say, embracing the new normal, but knowing that new jobs, new skills will be created so that people can be upskilled and be able to move on with their lives?
I think you touched on the key element there, that the wave of the future is actually people-centric. A lot of the jobs people do today are actually things that machines could do very easily. And they're not very exciting, and they're not very, they don't really require the human skills of creativity and problem resolution. Even a lot of AI is really about how do I take a very structured decision and execute it more quickly. What we're going to be seeing more and more of is taking people away from those roles and focusing much more on trying to solve higher order of problems and then creating new opportunities for businesses and for companies. And the great news for that is that while programming and technology skills are important, human interaction skills and the ability to understand people and how they see the world is becoming more and more critical than it ever has been before. That's why you'll see fields like user experience design growing, or as I discussed earlier on, agile, or other kind of ways which are far more people-centric, taking a lot more of a center stage in the jobs of the future.
All right, let's talk about this issue of fear again. Sometimes, it's very reasonable and justified for people to be afraid that digitization will take jobs, because when you look at mechanization, there was a time when machines replaced people and there would be just a few left to operate them, especially at the assembly line. So now as machines become faster and eliminate the group of people who can at any time get tired, want to take off or embark on industrial action. So it looks like it's a strategy that is actually fathomed to get rid of the human element. And people are wary of that. So how are jobs going to be created when they are being destroyed by the system?
I think that's a great one. And it's always nice to look at the historical impacts of the agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution, and now the computer revolution, and obviously into the digital kind of revolution. But if you think back on what happened with the industrial revolution, the jobs that were taken away, more jobs were actually created in the services sector. So yes, we've lost some jobs in an old sector that has been will be automated, and where those jobs will be eliminated because they won't be necessary anymore. But in truth, we create more and newer jobs in other sectors. Now, some of those sectors just haven't been created yet, and other sectors are, will kind of transform, and you'll find that they'll still need same people, but they'll grow. So as I was discussing before, telemedicine, for example, even though we will have more, we might have more computers and more systems to assist nurses, and nurses may be kind of doing more online consultations, the need for nurses will not go away. In fact, we can probably expect that there'll be a requirement for more nurses, because with technology, you might not need clinics to be as much of a central place where nurses can work, which might make it easier for us to have more nurses, more people caring for our population, and not being restricted by a physical location. So often the way that these technologies unroll, we lose something which is scary, and that fear of loss, or that loss aversion, is a critical component, but we gain something new that comes out the other side of it. And that is, in some ways, you have to kind of trust that there'll be this growth. But in other ways, it's almost inevitable, because the service we need is still fundamentally there. And often we have physical constraints that stop us from being able to deliver it as effectively as possible. And once we realize that the physical constraints, or even some of the people constraints, are holding us back in delivering the service more effectively, we can really see these industries bloom and therefore create more demand. A great example, actually, is the music industry. If you remember, when CD sales were stopping, everyone was terrified of the death of CD sales, and the music industry said they were going to die. But in fact, what happened was that there became more musicians, more people listening to music, and now the music industry is doing better than it ever has done before due to streaming. So often we go through a bit of an adjustment period which feels scary, but then on the other side of it, there's a boom in employment opportunities, allowing people to do what they would like to do.
All right, yeah, there's more to talk about. I agree with you, and especially on the education side of it. I mean, like many people have done humanities, but the study of innovation and technology, you'll find just 4 students in a classroom, but go to the history class, you'll be surprised. But anyway, thank you so much. We'll continue our discussion next time. We are speaking here to us, the partner, DYDX Technologies. Of course, we speaking to Nevo Hadas. Digital consultancy is DYDX. Thank you.
Thank you.